Hello again. So, don't know what order you're watching these in, of course, but for me, this is the final section. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've saved the one that I engage with the most to last, the creative section. Now you're in my kind of surreal world. Um, so here we go then. 15? 12. Um, so here we go. Floating church. Uh, like the perspective. I like the way that you've kind of included a lot of empty space around it. I think that is great. I would have been tempted to rack up the contrast a little bit and definitely lose the highlights and just make that middle strip that is the interesting part, make that stand out a little bit more. And of course, you can't help but notice it. This, speck up here on the left, I would have gotten rid of. So as it stands, 14 points. Our owl looking slightly away from us. Moonlight. That looks like a diffuse sun to me. So make your mind up. Is it blue? Is it yellow? And is it sun or is it moon? Either way, forget the title. I like the perch. I like the way that it's positioned down ever so slightly near the bottom. Would have preferred a little bit more space below the owl, but I don't know how you created layers and how you blended it. I would have lifted it up a little bit myself, like the silhouetted tree, and then of course the bright background lighting is great. Where does the light on the owl come from? So there's obviously some ever so slight, falseness around it, and in terms of blending modes, um, slightly tricky. But the warmth and the yellowness of your light source. You called it the moon. I'm going to go for a sun, but that isn't quite brought out in the lighting of the owl itself. So you kind of needed to warm the owl up a little bit to make the blending work completely. Great effort though. 15 points. Ghost train. Okay, whatever. Lots and lots of different images here being brought together. Working from left to right, it's kind of working out because you got the graveyard, you got this image up here, and it brings you into the room where this person is. Not in a happy place by the looks of things. So that's all good. But then I kind of lose it a little bit from the, the right hand third. We got a reflection of somebody's face there. Don't know what that does and what that adds to the story, and where it's then cut off down here. It's not blended nicely back into the graveyard and the other figure. So it's somewhere around here. If you could tidy this up a bit in terms of letting me move through the image and create a story that brings me back to the graveyard and another quite gruesome image. But it is this strip here that has taken it away. So harsh 12. So where to go with this one? Nothing is in focus, nothing is sharp, nothing leaps out at me to grab my attention. So I'm kind of turning to the title, Last Resort, Halloween. Okay, so we got a skeleton out here. We can read the words Happy Halloween, and then we got a few blurred figures in the background. Are they supposed to be spooks? Um, that doesn't come through because they're actually considered quite tidy individuals, because they're sharp enough to work out, that these are people. Um, they don't have red eyes. They don't look like skeletons. Um, sorry, didn't get there for me. 12. Any of London Eye. Just saw the title. But any of these wheels, create different types of images. You've used the cloud as is a very effective. The wispy clouds as a very effective background here, and you've taken it from below. We see the spokes of the wheel, and they're in flight, as it's called. So they're turning around, and the way that you caught the pods and focusing in on that, interesting. Creative angle, nice one. 16 points. Creative. Christmas lights. I don't know how you've done this. We got the two there at the bottom, carrying, standing under or carrying. And I can't resist that Norwegian spruce. And swirled around with some optical lighting. Very, very good. Quite entertaining. Trying to figure out ultimately with all these things, I'm trying to figure out how it's done, and then I pause that and say, judge the image that you got in front of you. And I would have liked to see your green spiral up to the top and close down to give me, the complete tree, as it were, not one that's been lopped at the top. But like the idea. 16. You're trying to buy my vote here with the title, aren't you? Um, that's harsh. Uh, very impactful, clearly capturing the moment, clearly capturing the mood of the globe at this, this time. Very, very harsh, of course, and definitely in your face. The treatment is harsh as well. Um, and you're wondering what these people are looking at and what the disaster that they're looking at, because the COVID victims don't, as as I understand it, don't flip out in an acute way that the faces of this audience suggests. So not sure it relates to the title. The treatment is interesting, but sorry, not going to take it forward. 15. Small planet treatment? I don't know. I like it. Oh, I think this is very, very creative. It's definitely the sort of thing that I would do myself. Like the idea of it all. I would have, it seems to be cut off here at the bottom, which is sort of possibly quite harsh. Definitely like the jet streams or the elongated clouds coming around here, and the lighting is sort of pretty good, and then the effect of this reflective beam or whatever it is in the middle, fantastic. I'm going to hold it. Daffodil, love the way that you've used the textures on this one, and bringing it out and make the daffodil stand out, but equally create a textured background that gives it some interest as well. Some of the lines, perhaps I don't know where they came from, but I do find those ever so slightly distracting. But definitely definitely a good shot, and I'm going to hold it. Bright spark, bright shark, I don't know. Spelling mistake. Ah, I think this is just such a wonderful idea, and it's definitely up there with some of the things that I have experimented with in the past. Where you got the shark from, I don't know. The coral reef at the bottom, great, and the way that you got the waves up at the top, and then you're balancing this light bulb on some sort of surface, and you've sprayed it with water. Um, what can I say? I'm aiming to emulate it. Fantastic. Holding it. Witching hour. Moon. Um, I don't want. I don't know what kind of mood you wanted to create. The witch doesn't look evil enough for me, so that would be my first observation. And secondly, I wanted to see more of her. A little bit more of the face, and bring out some aggression, I guess. Because if we're talking about the witching hour, we're talking um, we're talking magic, we're talking things that could potentially be quite evil, and I don't see that evilness here. Other than that, great execution, the way that you position your model in front of the moon, whatever layering or creativeness you've done there. It's worked well. Blending is, if you have blended it, blending here is well executed and very, very good. So I'm going to give this one a very harsh 15. And then we got somebody who's clearly in distress, trying to crawl up the stairs and get some help. Or is she actually trying to chase you down and make sure she kills you completely? So I would run away either way. Um, Interesting shot, narrowed it down into the staircase. It builds up, and lighting is quite sympathetic. The dress probably doesn't lend itself to this kind of environment. I would have preferred something a little bit more colorful, but then I imagine that you went for this because it would show the red up, the blood. I'm hoping it's not her blood that I'm looking at. So quite, the session is creative. So it is quite creative, and it's kind of almost there, but not quite. So I'm going to give this one 14. Okay. That left me with a small little selection, and you don't want me to give joints, so I'm gonna have to separate it. So I'm going with this brass band thing here, first art, with the reflections in it, and I think all the things that I just talked about stands up. Great shot, 19 points and third place. I'm gonna go with the shark. Next, all again, very, very good idea. All sorts of things that I've played with in the past, and I'm going to rekindle myself. And photography, be very, very proud of this. 19 and a half, second place. And we get our daffodil. Can you tidy up the lines in the background? I don't know how you did your texture, but it's great work. Other than that, stand out and absolutely in my face. 20 points and the winner.